Alright, so since we didn't get our first introduction, I'm Staff Sergeant Levi Reynolds. Thank you for watching ACC Plays. We have a lot more viewers this time, and I think it's because of the man to my right. So I'm going to let him give you an introduction and tell you a little bit about his flying history since we were playing Ace Combat. Whenever you want to go, sir.
Hi everybody, I'm Mike Holmes. I came into the Air Force because I wanted to fly the F-15, and I was fortunate to get the chance to do that. I flew the F-15 for about 3,500 hours, and then I've also flown the T-38, which is our advanced trainer as a pilot training instructor, and I fly it now as a target for F-22s on training sorties.
And joined today also his son, Lieutenant Wade Holmes. Came all the way down from DC, so I'm sure it was a real long drive.
Not too bad.
And you want to give them a little spiel about your flight history?
Yep, so I'm a first lieutenant in the Air National Guard. I have about 200 hours in the F-16. I'm a brand new wingman. And other than that, time in the T-38, T-6, and a Cessna. But really excited to get this fight on today.
It's great. We joked about putting you in a Cessna.
Yeah.
It's not on here. So that would have been fun.
That would have been better for me.
So we're going to let them battle it out, and I'm going to get off screen, and you guys can ask your questions, and we will try to get them to them as quickly as we can. And good luck, gentlemen.
All right.
Watch your traffic flare supply.
They asked, did you come from the Academy, ROTC, OTS, or other?
We both went to OTS. I went to OTS back in 1981. And Wade?
I went to OTS, graduated about 3 years ago.
3 minutes remaining.
So you don't have to go to the Academy or ROTC to be a pilot in the Air Force. You can come in after you finish college and make your way to OTS.
So when you were growing up, did you have any other options that you wanted to do other than be a fighter pilot?
It was always kind of what I really wanted to do, but I wasn't sure. You know, it's such a long road to get there, but obviously seeing my dad, seeing someone I'm really close to, accomplish that and love it as much as he did, made it a top option for me. My eyes weren't very good going through high school, so I needed to get laser eye surgery and go through some medical waivers and stuff, but it all worked out. I'm really lucky to live in the age of LASIK and all that, so it's made the dream come true for me.
And I had to get a vision waiver too when I came in, so that's something else we kind of have in common.
Like you said earlier, sir, you've flown over 4,000 hours. What are some changes that you've seen from when you first started flying to what's in the aircraft today?
Well, I flew that F-15 for a long time, but we got a lot better weapons the longer I kept flying it. So we started off with a semi-active radar where you had to stay locked to an enemy airplane with your radar to make a missile work, and with radar or infrared missiles where you had to get behind somebody to have a chance at taking a shot on them. And then we got better and better missiles that allowed us to have active missiles in the AMRAAM and to be able to shoot IR missiles from any place. So that was the main difference, I think.
So I'm sure you both have done your share of virtual simulators. How's this game compare?
I will say that the detail on the jets is actually much better in here. The simulators focus on kind of realism of employment and control response and all that stuff, but this game looks really good.
It does look really good. I'm having a really hard time with the controls that aren't like an airplane control. So Wade he's taking it easy on me right now while we talk, but in a few minutes he's gonna start wearing me out because he knows how to do these controls and I don't.
Sir, how many overseas tours have you had?
I had one flying tour overseas, if you don't count Afghanistan. Don't hit the ground. I had, we were on Okinawa for 3 years back in the 80s. I did a staff tour in Germany, and then I did a tour in Afghanistan flying the F-15 as well.
It's funny you said Okinawa. On Reddit, it was kind of a big story the other day. All the monkeys got out of the Okinawa Zoo, and they were on Kadena Air Base.
I did not hear that. That's an awesome story.
There's a great picture of one sitting on a fence in housing. So, Oh, wait, you got a question?
Yeah, I got one I want to ask. It's, has flight ever damaged your body anyway? If so, was it hard to deal with?
The high G environment, particularly as you get older, yeah, so flying around at 8 or 9 Gs, I think all guys that have flown as long as I have either have some kind of neck or back issue that they're working through, whether it's skeletal or whether it's just a muscle thing. Everybody has something that goes with that. We also have learned in these really long sorties that we're flying in the Middle East that also leads guys to have some physical problems. Wade?
Yeah, I mean, the high G environment is definitely tough. It's something you get used to when you first start. You know, you start in the T6, doesn't pull a bunch of Gs, then you go to the T38, and then to the F16 in my case. And you do a lot of training for those G forces, but it's definitely something you have to be careful about and take care of your body. And, you know, you want to stay healthy so you can keep flying. It's always a struggle, but
we're introducing some coaches and some neck and back specialists into squadrons. Some of our squadrons in the Air National Guard now have a dedicated neck and back coach, and they work through exercises to make it better. They do therapy after you fly, and they can kind of rehabilitate you. But more than that, try to build you up so that you can take it better.
So what was your longest flight you had to do?
I've done a 14.3 in an F-15 by myself. That was flying from Cadena nonstop to Panama City, Florida. Wade, you've done some like 10, haven't you?
I've done a 9.5 hour sortie from Korea to Hawaii.
So we did that first setup guns only, which is really hard when you can't see the guy and you can't turn around and look over your shoulder. Wade, you want to bring missiles into this one?
Sounds good.
Okay, so how did you carry water, or how did you drink water when you're thirsty on an airplane?
Hey, that's not too hard. You take a water bottle with you. You can just take like a regular water bottle. We have some that are made to fit in a G-suit pocket. It's getting rid of the water that's the hard part.
That's true.
It's when you're up for that long, you want to drink a lot of water and stay hydrated, but then you have to urinate, to get rid of it. And there are different ways the Air Force has made to be able to do that and then keep it secure. And then it's a lot easier to make ways for men to do it than it is to make ways for our women fighter pilots to do it. And so that's something we continually have to work on.
What are your favorite aircraft besides your main aircraft?
Well, I get to see that Raptor out there around, and that's a very cool airplane. It's hard to argue with that. It can do things no other airplane can do, and I get to see it close up when it's rolling around behind me to do them.
I have to say the Raptor as well. I've gotten to see the Raptor demo, and it's pretty spectacular.
So I think we all know where you got your call sign from, sir. It's just a joke, right?
Yeah, Mobile Homes. We call that a natural. Anything that makes sense together like that, just the way your name sounds, we call that a natural.
But Lieutenant, how'd you get your call sign?
So I'm not going to get super specific with it, but long story short, I showed up in my squadron. The DC Air National Guard was deployed to Korea, and I showed up as a brand new wingman out of school there. Didn't really have a lot of experience, and mistakenly talked a big game about a particular maneuver that I thought I was okay at, and then some people took notice. They're gonna see how well I really did it, and I was out in Korea trying to do it, and just completely screwed it up more or less in front of everybody on my first sortie there, and as these things go, got made fun of a lot for it, but that's just part of the job, and I'm very happy with my call sign.
Wade's been around behind me here for quite a while. I've been staying alive with chaff and flares, but I'm out of them now, and so there he got me. Way to go, Wade.
So we have someone who's heading to Air Force pilot training next year. Do you have any advice for them?
Wade, you're the most recent graduate.
Yeah. So you'll kind of hear this advice a lot, and it was the advice that I got, but it really worked. It's going to be a ton of work and a lot of fun. You're going to have kind of a fire hose approach to all the information that you get. So phase one of pilot training is all academics in the classroom. So you'll go and just sit down, have an instructor, study for tests, just treat it like school, try and make 100 on every test, and just take that part. That's really in your control, and if you got accepted to pilot training, then I'm sure you're a smart guy or girl. So work hard in the academic phase, and then and then once you get
Missiles again.
Yep. Once you get to the flying part, just be prepared every day. It's going to be a grind, but it's all worth it. And good attitude and helping out your classmates will take you about as far as anything. So just make sure you're looking out for your buddies and work hard and be coachable and listen to your instructors and put your best foot forward every day.
Good advice.
Solid advice. Thanks for life, too.
What improvements to today's modern aircraft have impressed you the most?
Sorry,
I
Dad.
think you kind of already...
Yeah, you already answered those?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think so.
Yeah. We hit that one. Thanks for paying attention.
I'm just catching up on the comments.
No, I was talking to them. There's no way. Have you guys ever had the opportunity before this awesome experience to fly together?
No, it's something we've been talking about. We're looking for a way to see if we can do that. You know, we want to make sure it's done safely, and we're not too far apart with him at Andrews and F-16 to me down at Langley and T-38s. So it's something that's possible.
I will say I've taken Dad flying in a Cessna before when I first got my license. I was really excited to take him, and I knew it was going to go well, but I was a little nervous because he's a super accomplished pilot. So I want to kind of bring my A game on this flight, and it's like February. We take off out of Maryland, not too far from DC, and about 10 minutes into the flight, I'm really focused on making sure it goes well. I look over and Dad is completely asleep.
Yep.
He's just slumped over in the passenger seat, completely asleep. So I guess I must have been doing just fine.
Yeah, it was a cold day. It's about 30 outside. It was warm when we got in there.
Yeah.
He seemed to be doing fine.
I think that was the best compliment he could give me.
Yeah, I
It's
took a little nap.
Did you have that same level of confidence the first time he drove with you in the car?
No.
No, that was a much different story.
He was quite a bit older.
Yep.
Here, why don't you swap and get over here so they can see what you're doing to whip me.
Do you guys want to
That's
swap
blasphemy.
craft,
I'm
or do you want
No,
to-
we're okay.
Okay.
So as
I'll
pilots,
try the
what
Eagle
are
on.
your, as pilots, what are your thoughts on air battle?
Wade's always wanted to fly an Eagle, so this is a good chance.
Oh yeah.
So
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, your thoughts on air battle managers?
Yep.
Air battle managers. So those are the people that work either on the ground or in the air to help make sure that pilots have situational awareness of what's going on around them, to help point them in the right direction, and to pass on orders from command and control. So it's a great job. They fly on the E3 AWACS or on the E8 J-Stars, and then they do ground duties as well. Organization called Kingpin over in the CENTCOM area in the Mideast right now is a room full of air battle managers that make sure that we know what's going on and that we're prepared to do all the things that are required over there. So it's a great career field. You have a chance to be airborne and to be a part of the fight. I worked with an AWACS yesterday that took off from Tinker in Oklahoma and flew all the way out here to the East Coast, used the radar on the AWACS, and then helped us fight six T-38s against 4 Raptors.
And in the Viper, in the F-16, we work with AWACS and GCI controllers as well, and it's incredibly important for the way that we would fight in air war. They help us keep a picture of everything that's going on and help us make decisions, and exactly the same, keep awareness on where all the good guys and the bad guys are. It's incredibly important for the way that we fight.
If you could send a message to all the crew chiefs out there that maintain your aircraft, what would you say to them?
Oh man, everybody loves crew chiefs, and I know Wade and I both do. One of my old crew chiefs from when I was a squadron commander still lives here in the area, Brian Mason, and we still get together. Nothing happens in the airplane without the guys that take care of it and keep it working. And my message to all those crew chiefs would be thanks.
Same. I can't thank them enough for keeping me safe and keeping us able to do the mission.
I kind of wish
awesome.
I had one here to help me right now.
You have another one, or you're gonna leave that?
I'll have it's a soft one. General, would you consider a career in commercial flight after you retire from the military?
For a couple of reasons, probably not. One is the FAA has age limits, and by the time I retire, I'll be pretty close to that. I'm pretty lucky to be an old guy that still gets to fly fighters in the Air Force. The other thing is, I always kind of, to tell you the truth, the part that I liked best about flying was the part about practicing fighting more than the flying part. I like flying, on good weather days. It's really cool, and it's still really exciting to be up there in the air, but I really like the fight part, what we call the part between fights on and knock it off. Now, Wade is a young man. He's in the Guard. He'll have some options to do that if he chooses to.
So which airline are you going to go with?
I'm keeping all my options open. I'll let them. I'll let them bid for that.
We're kind of in the realm of it, and I think everybody knows we have a pilot shortage issue ongoing in the Air Force. Is there any particular reason why you think that is happening?
I think there's a lot of reasons in it. Part of it is just how busy we keep all those pilots and the time that they've spent deployed in 15 years of war. Part of it is as they, get more further along in their careers, they have a family, and they're spend a lot of time thinking about what's going to happen with their family. Will their spouse be able to find work in the places we send them? Will the opportunities for their kids at school be good? And then part of it is, do we allow them to focus on the mission of flying and combat and the things they want to focus on, and how much time do they spend doing other things unrelated to it? But, I think it's a place that I found meaning and purpose in my life. It's a place that I've really enjoyed being around super people that were flyers or that fixed airplanes or that were just around in the Air Force, and I wouldn't trade a minute of it for anything.
We got another one? Okay. LT,
Yes.
what was your decision to go Guard versus trying to go active duty or?
So yeah, I actually originally wanted to go active duty because of just how the timing worked out. Back in kind of post-sequestration days, they were had basically less money available for pilot training, and they had given a lot of those spots to ROTC and Academy graduates. So I could have played the waiting game and kept trying to go active duty, but I got introduced to the Air National Guard and met some folks at my squadron now at Andrews, and I applied there, interviewed, and got hired by them. So for me, it's a dream job. Get to live at home and fly, and the Guard is unique in that you can still fly, but you have the opportunity to go and work other jobs or fly for the airlines and things like that. And it's a part of the big picture that I think ACC and everybody counts on to have the Guard and the Reserve and the active duty all working together.
You got another question?
I just flew into the ground while waiting for stuff.
This eagle is slow. I can't get behind you the same way.
Yeah, but you're really carrying all those missiles.
That's true.
All 112 of them.
Yeah.
What was the weirdest thing that's happened during flight training, either to yourself or someone in your class?
Ah, yes.
The weirdest thing. The weirdest thing. I can think of some funny things.
Yeah, try that.
Yeah.
I think those work.
That's fine.
I had a classmate. So you have this just comes to mind. You have these big check rides in pilot training. It's an airborne test. Super stressful and pretty high pressure, but you go and you fly with an instructor and they grade you and they say, hey, you passed, or hey, you need to work on these things and you take it again. And I had a classmate who was brand new in that airplane, and he didn't know how to work the air conditioning system. And it was the summer in Mississippi, and he didn't know how to work the system, and it was on full heat. But he was scared to tell his instructor that he didn't know how to work it. And his instructor was just like, I'm just going to see how this plays out, and sat in the back and just like melted back there and never said a word. And he passed the check ride, did a great job, but I think he had some learning points from there. I think he was like 110 degrees in the cockpit the entire ride because he didn't want to fess up.
Oh.
Yep.
So, sir, you got any strange flying stories that we're allowed to hear?
I'm trying to think of any strange stories. You know, there's funny things that happen all the time, and a lot of them are people, you know, not getting up on the right frequency or talking on the wrong radio. And those things happen all the time. And the T-38 that I fly, you can only use one radio at a time. And you get used to flying an F-15 or an F-16 where you can switch between radios just with your fingers. On the T-38, you have to go up and flick another switch. And so guys are always saying something on the wrong radio and coming up at the wrong time or working through that. I got hit by lightning one time.
Mom's off screen throwing the hard balls.
No, it was coming through here. I was flying. We descended to avoid some thunderstorms. There were some more thunderstorms coming. I flew into a cloud and lightning hit the nose of my airplane. It skipped in through the windshield and it went down the stick and then went back out through the airplane somewhere. It kind of knocked my hand off the stick where we were going. Another time I got my wingman got hit by lightning when I was in pilot training down at Shaw on a cross country, and it knocked a little piece of one of the antennas off the airplane. But that doesn't happen very often. That's not something that
hasn't happened to me yet.
Happens a lot. We try not to fly in conditions that where that might happen.
I used to work, before I cross-trained into this lovely job, I used to work out at a rescue squadron as their supply guy. And they would always tell us, you know, like, fighter pilots don't take off unless our helicopters are ready to go. So how much do you guys think about the rescue community when you're up in the air?
Well, we're all pretty sure we're invincible, so we don't really think about it a lot just because we're up in the air. I mean, you think about it in the abstract. It's great to know that there are people that will drop everything if the time comes and come get you. But in general, you always figure that'll happen to somebody else, you know, and not you. But you know, our chief, General Goldfein, if you ever look at Air Force Times this month, there's a great article about an event he had where he got shot down in an F-16 over Yugoslavia. And the rescue guys came and got him that night. I mean, the same night he got shot down, they were there within hours and pulled him out. It's a great story. So,
yeah, I read that the other night. That's what I was thinking about when you were talking about getting struck by lightning.
Yep.
That's what he said. He
thought it happened to him. Yeah.
We got anything?
Have either of you ever done a carrier landing or takeoff?
You know, our airplanes in the Air Force aren't stressed for the carrier landings. The Navy airplanes are. They have stronger landing gear and they have stronger structure in the airplane. And so they're made for that, and our Air Force airplanes aren't. Good job, Wade. I have been out to a carrier on the carrier onboard delivery airplane, so I got to do one trap and one launch just sitting in the back of one. But we don't do that in the Air Force.
All right, so somebody, Ty has V1, wants to inform you both that you don't have to use the afterburner the entire time.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's there, Ty.
I don't get to do that in
So
real
why
life,
not?
so I have to worry about fuel in real life.
Yeah, Ty, you're right that I'm flying around too fast, which is why I can't turn, and
Yeah,
that's why
I get
Wade
it.
keeps carving around in behind me and shooting me because I'm going 2,000 miles an hour. So Ty is actually very correct on how you should be thinking about fighting.
Absolutely.
But then again, you don't really get to go to 2,000 miles an hour in an airplane much, and you can do it here.
It's good,
so
Dad. Slow down, just like that.
Why not?
Non-stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, with your 112 missiles that you carry around, right? You're still screening. Oh, a good one.
And I'm still going 1,200 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the units of speed are in this game.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. What's the average speed you do get to go up there?
You know, about 600, 650 is about the fastest you'll go indicated airspeed. If you're in a turning fight, you stay right around probably between 300 and 500 miles an hour most of that time, because if you go faster than that, you're going too fast to make a turn. Just like in a car, if you're going really fast, you can't make a sharp turn. In an airplane, you have to think about that too.
Oh, they both played about, you guys, we had the question how many more hours you have in game than your dad.
In this game?
Yeah.
I've played it about as much as he has, just I played about 20 minutes just to get familiar with it. But
video games in general, though, you have to remember I played Pong
yeah.
and Tail Gunner,
Yeah,
and I'm a few generations behind.
full disclosure there, I played a lot of video games growing up.
What games do you normally play?
I don't play too many anymore, but as a kid I played, you know, Call of Duty, Halo, a bunch of those shooters. Those were always a lot of fun. Yeah, I kind of played all the popular games growing up.
Right there, the Halo. We got one.
We just have someone who's showing some concern for General Holmes. They say, LT, take it easy on the old man.
I appreciate that. I'm going to feign an injury here in a minute.
Air Combat Command does not teach me to take pity on my adversary.
Your boss might be mad at you.
Are there any coalition or joint aircraft either of you would like to fly?
You know, I think I really do think our airplanes are awesome, and we probably have the best. If you want to go look at them, the Typhoon, I'm sure, would be a whole lot of fun in a visual fight. I always wanted to fly a Hornet that the Navy flies, because that would be a lot of fun, I think, in a visual fight, in a BFM fight. We both had a chance to fight them some. But that Typhoon is a really good maneuvering airplane, I think.
I'm dumb. What's the Typhoon? Where's it?
That's Euro, Germany, and the UK flying.
I know a lot of
There were
guys
some here at
watching.
Langley last year.
They're pretty cool.
A lot of guys watching, they know all these aircraft, but I don't know all these aircraft. They called us out on the video, which I actually need to address.
That'll be good time.
Yeah, let me get in here.
Yep, I think I got kicked out of the lobby somehow.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
All right, so I'll fix that. I will apologize for the video, and I'll apologize to you too, sir. We have a different aircraft flying behind you on the promo video we made. To our untrained eye, it looked like an F-15 with a fancy paint job, but we were corrected over and over and over again. So we're sorry. Thank you for educating us.
What was it, a Sukhoi?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So Air Force
I
pilots
noticed that as
complain
well.
about that all the time. That services guys and PA guys or whatever put pictures up of Russian airplanes when they're trying to publicize U.S. airplanes.
I just thought Ace Combat put a weird paint
Yep.
job on it, and I was
Yep.
like, okay, cool, that'll work. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I didn't know you guys would get so mad about it, but it's understandable. All right, so we'll create this new room here, and special shout out to Sergeant Peebler, who works here, for letting us borrow her Xbox and her account so we can both play at the same time. So we're gonna invite her account back in, send the invite, and then if you could just hold down the X, or this actual main button right there, and then it'll take you, and we're gonna redo this.
Awesome.
And we'll sortie whenever it gets on there.
Thanks.
And yeah, so I'm sorry again, and back to these very smart gentlemen.
What other questions do you have?
Does anybody ask any? I see all these people talking, but how come none of them are asking questions?
No, they are. There's some. I'm just trying to get caught up on something.
Oh, okay.
I'm going back to the
Would either
Viper.
of you ever
Okay.
want to fly an A-10 Thunderbolt 2 or the original Thunderbolt?
I've been the wing commander of the A-10 a couple of times, and I wanted to be dual qualified one of those times, and they didn't really give me that option. So yeah, it's a great airplane. My friends that fly it like it a lot. Sure, it'd be great to go fly one.
I have some really good friends from pilot training who fly the A-10, and they're very, very happy. So it seems like a lot of fun.
Here's a good one. If you were to make the moves you're making in this video game in real life, how would you cope with the G-force?
a solid minute or 5 minutes of afterburner turn.
Yeah. Well, one of Wade's buddies texted him and said, "Remember to do your G-straining maneuver while you're doing this." So you do learn to do things to live with the high G's. Besides having a G suit on that squeezes blood up from your legs up into your upper body and your head, you also learn to do straining things with your legs and with your torso to try to keep the blood up there. So we'd be working hard if we were really going to do it.
Yep, it's
what we're doing in this airplane instead of sitting here relaxed.
How does that G suit feel when it's doing that? It just sounds so like intrusive.
You don't really think about it that much
seriously.
because you're busy doing other things. But it squeezes pretty good. When you check it before you go fly on the ground to make sure it works, and you check it in your G warm-up turn that you do every time you go fly to make sure that your body's good and that the airplane is good. And you're aware of it. It squeezes pretty good, but it's not like it hurts or anything.
Okay, so LT, we got a question specifically for you.
Okay.
Well, how would you describe some of the benefits of joining the military for other people in your age group?
Yeah, so it's been great for me. I mean, obviously I grew up in a military family, so going back to that Air Force family has been really great. But just for everybody, it's a great place to be part of a team. Get a good paycheck taken care of, get to go and serve your country and have a lot of fun. Get to go overseas, travel, make tons of friends. It's been an awesome opportunity for me, and I think in the Air Force, at least in the pilot community, I've made some really, really good friends that will stay with me for a long time. But it's a great life experience.
Okay. We got one. What's your opinion on UFOs?
There's been a lot of that out there lately. There's several people are talking about it a lot online. I've flown, like I said, a whole lot of hours, and I've never seen anything that I couldn't make sense out of. So, so far, I'd say I haven't seen anything that would lead me to wonder about what's out there.
And so when you're flying, what are your favorite snacks? What's your favorite? Well, here's the real one. What's your favorite MRE? Everyone's got a favorite.
I'm not sure I have a favorite MRE.
Everyone has a least favorite, though.
I like the chicken fajitas one.
Yeah.
That one's good. And when I'm flying, Snickers bars.
Snickers bar is hard to argue with. I think Wade has to eat something before he goes to fly. Whenever he goes to fly,
Yeah.
He's got a metabolism like his mom,
I get hungry.
or he gets hungry.
Yeah, I don't fly well when I'm hungry.
So when you land, what beverage of choice do you have waiting on you?
Like a Coke Zero usually. Depends on if it's Friday or not.
I'm a water guy.
Yeah.
So are there any real combat tactics that you can use in this game, where you kind of just got to fly around and?
Well, it's hard because you're only seeing this little piece of sky. I think if I knew what to do to be able to move the views around a little bit better,
Yep,
you might be able to.
I'm trying to do it here. So
you look behind you to see where the guy is, or look to the side and think about maneuvering in relation to somebody. Right now, I'm just staring at the little display on the screen.
I'd agree with that. In a real dogfight, you're looking around the entire time, and you can actually keep track of where oh god, I crashed. Exactly.
Yay!
Got one down.
I chased him into the ground, and now I'm flying into the ground right behind him.
I tried changing the camera, and
I celebrated too much.
It didn't work. Yep. Case in point.
Is there any special tactics or any challenges that you have when you have to fly at night versus during the day?
Wait, you go first.
Yeah. So flying at night is in some ways the same, but in some ways a lot different. So it's a lot like flying through a cloud in some ways. So you focus on your flight instruments, and you're always making sure that you know which way is up and where the ground is, so you're staying safe. So the safety piece is a big part of it. In the Air Force, we have night vision goggles that we can fly with, and those are pretty amazing. I only learned to fly with those in F-16 school, and they make a huge difference in seeing ground targets, seeing other aircraft, and being able to stay tactical and not just worried about where you are and where the ground is the entire time.
I agree with all that. It's think of it as more like instrument flying. You want to think about where the ground is every second, so you don't get disoriented, and spend a lot more time looking inside the airplane because you don't have horizon cues outside, depending on how much light there is. And then you can kind of get a false sense of security with night vision goggles and think you know more about what's going on around you than you do, and so you have to be careful with that too.
We know we've got an answer for this. It's pretty easy to avoid the missiles in game. Is it that easy in real life?
Well, fortunately, I've never had a rolling shot at me.
Same.
I've done it in the sim, where we program the sim with missile flyouts, or you can see the smoke trail and you can do what you're taught to try to avoid them. But yeah, I'm sure it's a lot tougher problem in a real airplane with missiles being shot at you than it is in here.
Yeah, it's something that we train to, but hopefully you never have to see.
Yeah.
Yep. At least a missile coming at you. Yeah.
I didn't know your full 4,000-hour history, but I was hoping that you were going to say you'd never been shot at.
I've been shot at with guns, but not with missiles.
So we've seen a lot of coverage of drones recently. What's your opinion on their use in air-to-air combat? Basically the movie Stealth. Yoink.
Air Force Research Lab has some projects going on for autonomous air combat, where the computer, flies the airplane, and the way they do it is with artificial intelligence. They learn from a real pilot. You kind of watch and learn, and the computer tries something and sees what works. I mean, there's some things the computer can do and probably do better than a person can do. Part of it will be, do we have confidence in that? Do we have confidence in the computer and the machine to make a good decision?
We got another game tip. Who was the Saints? A lot of people said it. If you hold Y, what does it do? Track.
Oh.
You can visually track. Oh, that's the missile thing, right?
That's pretty
You
cool.
follow the missile.
Does that keep the camera on? That's cool. Yeah, so this is exactly what I was talking about in a real airplane. You would keep your focus. You would fight completely in relation to the bad guy. So you would have your, basically all your decision making done from where they are, just like this, even though I keep getting turned around when I try it in this game.
So when you get assigned your aircraft, how does that whole system work? How much say do you have in what your preferences are? Is it kind of like assignments? And if you get an aircraft that you might not want, do you ever get to change?
If you go, Wade went to pilot training knowing what he was going to fly because he had already joined a guard unit and he'd already been hired by that guard unit, knowing what he was going to do. So he knew as long as he passed all the qualifications along the way, he was going to go fly the F-16. For guys in the active duty world, then it's a combination of how well you do in pilot training, what your choices are, and what the needs of the Air Force are. So it all works together, and there's not, you can't guarantee you'll get what you want. As far as opportunities to do other things, there are some opportunities, but it costs money, to change and train a pilot in a different airplane too. And so guys will change kind of within one career field. If you're a C-17 pilot, you might go fly KC-10s. or something like that, you have the opportunity now to move into the F-35. A lot of guys are getting to do that. So if you're flying an F-16 or a Strike Eagle or an A-10, you have the chance to go fly the F-35.
Do you ever have any experience working with combat controllers?
I have. In the year that I flew in Afghanistan, all the bombs that I dropped were under the coordination between a ground commander and a JTAC, who was either a combat controller with a special ops unit or a TAC-P out there with a conventional Army unit. And then I was on the range this week at Townsend Range in Georgia with some TAC-Ps from the 15th ASOS and got to watch them control a couple of A-10s, which was cool, which was a lot of fun.
And I'll pile onto that. One of the F-16's missions is close air support as well. So in training, we'll work with ground controllers to, obviously not real combat, but to put bombs on targets in urban environments or other precision attacks, working with someone on the ground who's calling in your strike. It's really fun. They do a great job.
We got the question, have either of you ever thrown up in the air?
Yep.
I have.
I have.
Yeah, I was sick in pilot training when I was learning. I was sick all through the T-37 part of training. And if I go a couple of months without flying now, I'm sick the first couple of times I go back to fly.
Yeah, on my first flight in the T6 in pilot training, I got sick. And then on the second one, I also got sick and tried to pretend that I wasn't sick. And my instructor knew right away, so it did not work.
LT, do you like Chipotle?
I love Chipotle.
Okay.
Great question.
Would you rather never fly again or never eat Chipotle again?
I would rather never eat Chipotle again.
I feel like somebody that knows you is on
That
there.
definitely sounds like someone who knows me. Yep.
Queen 420.
Nope, there we go. I know
Hey, Quinn.
Was if you eat Chipotle before you fly, is that going to increase your chances of throwing up?
No, I fly better after I eat Chipotle.
Once you get used to flying, it doesn't matter what you eat. When you're worried about it, you can think about whether you ate something spicy or all that. But once you get used to flying, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you eat.
Oh no.
So, for both of you, what part of the overall pilot culture would you change if you could change anything?
I'll start with the things I really like about the Air Force culture that I grew up in, and it's guys are really competitive. Guys are really determined to be good teammates to each other, and they're really motivated to try to be their best all the time. If there's things that go against that, let's see, what would I change about it? I think we have a long way to go to make it as inclusive as we would like it to be. We talk about the reasons for it all the time, and it's hard to be completely sure, but most of our fighter squadrons, we don't have very many women, and we don't have very many people that don't look like Wade and I. We have African Americans or Asians or even Hispanic are more the exception than the rule in our community. So if I could change anything, it would be to reach out across all the different groups that make up America and to try to encourage people to come, be a part of our flying culture. I think, if you can play these games, you're watching me fly into the ground here. How hard can it be? If I'm able to do it from this, and it's a great place to be a part of a team and to do something that's important. And so the thing I would change would be to try to invite more people that don't look like me to come be a part of.
LT?
I don't have too much to add, just because I'm such a junior pilot in the community. I would agree with all those things that are great about the fighter pilot community and the pilot community in general. I'm just happy to be here. I'll put it that way. I'm sure as time goes on, I'll learn more and get my own opinion about that.
With the fifth gen fighters are focusing a lot on stealth, and that seems to be the way technology's going. Do you think that dogfights are going to become obsolete?
If you do everything right in a 5th gen airplane, you hope that you won't end up, you know, in a visual fight against somebody, but things can go wrong. And so you have to always be ready for that visual fight. So guys have to keep practicing it. They have to keep knowing what they're doing at it. And even when I'm out flying my T-38 against Raptors, sometimes I end up surviving and making it to a visual fight with them. So it'll never completely go away. You have to still be able to do it.
The Ace Combat, we joked about this a little earlier about how the AWACS guy is really a real jerk to you when you're not good.
On Ace Combat, yeah.
Yeah, on Ace Combat. I guess that's a theme throughout the entire series.
Yeah, don't ever do that bad again.
Yeah.
Does that anything like that happen in real life, or is it strictly business over the radio with the AWACS?
Guys are pretty professional. I mean, sometimes everybody can get frustrated sometimes, whether it's the pilot or the air weapons controller. And most of the time, it's guys just get real excited sometimes. And so there's always a little bit of a battle trying to, you know, keep yourself and your emotions under control, because you're competing hard and it's high stakes. And so people are really professional, but sometimes guys can get upset.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, well, this is an easy question. Who would you rather have as your wingman from Top Gun, Iceman or Maverick?
I don't know. I'd probably take Maverick.
I'll take Maverick.
I'll take Maverick. You know, he's not always in the right place, but he's a lot of fun to be around, and he, you know.
You can count on him when the going's really tough, as we saw in the movie.
Most guys are a lot more like, you know, I don't know. Guys aren't really like either one of those guys when they're out there, but mostly what you see is guys that are just really working really, really hard to try to do everything the best they can.
I saw a good supercut of the movie where it basically points out that Maverick's the villain and Iceman's the hero. How do you feel about the potential of opening up pilots, being a pilot to enlisted members?
I think the question is, what problem are you solving to do that? Look, I have no doubt that you know, that the great enlisted members we have in the Air Force can fly an airplane. The question is, what's the issue, and do you need to do that? You know, we don't have a shortage of people that want to come fly with us. We have a pilot shortage not because we don't have people that go through the training. We have a shortage because people leave. And we tried enlisted pilots in World War II because we thought we had a shortage and we needed to go through, and we ended up walking away from it after a couple of years because we had issues that drove from people doing the same job at vastly different statuses and for vastly different pay, and that's kind of a recipe not made for success. So in the places where we have enlisted pilots, like in our RQ4 community, I think it's really important that we get the ratios right, and we make sure that there's a difference between the jobs that our officer pilots do and our enlisted pilots do, with focusing on supervision and on leadership to make that work. And they make it work fine in RQ4.
What are some of the most advanced maneuvers you've done in an aircraft?
Well, you learn aerobatics when you're learning how to fly. You learn how to do, you know, go over the top and turn hard and do all those things. But you don't really think about it so much when you're fighting somebody in the airplane. You just think about where that person is, where you need to go, and what you do to get there. So it gives you confidence in it. You know, I don't know, I've done a tail slide in the airplane where you run out of airspeed trying to get higher than somebody, and you go down for a little while until the nose falls down. You know, a high G turn like Wade does in the F-16. I don't know, what do you got, Wade?
Jinx are pretty, I mean, not advanced, but they take a lot of work to master.
What's a
especially in the
jink?
F-16.
What's a jink?
A jink is a maneuver where if you're defensive against a gun threat from an adversary, you're maneuvering your aircraft out of plane of that gunshot while also trying to create closure problems for the enemy. So.
And you're looking back over your shoulder
Yep.
and
So
so
you're
out the front of the airplane.
Yep. So you're flying. You're looking backwards. You're not used to, at least when you're learning, you're not used to flying while looking backwards. So you're learning that skill, and then you're also keeping track of this guy behind you, seeing when he's going to threaten you, and you have to time your jink perfectly. And in the F-16, we'll do a big rolling jink with the speed brakes out to try and slow down as much as we can. So we'll look back and basically try to spoil his gunshot. And if you do it right, then he'll maybe fly past you and you can threaten him. But yeah, that's a pretty technical maneuver that it takes time to master for sure.
And usually if you get in a position where you're jinking, you're also down close to the floor of the training area, because you fight a guy off and you hold him back behind you, and you trade altitude to try to do that. You use the energy of going down, you keep his nose off of you, and finally when you get down to the floor of the training area, which we simulate the ground and raise it up a little bit for safety. So you're also worried about bouncing off that simulated ground while you're doing it. So you're looking over your shoulder, you're trying to maneuver in relation to that person back there behind you, and trying to keep up enough with what's going on in front of you that you don't bounce off that simulated ground. So that's one of the harder things to do.
Have you ever treated an aircraft so roughly that a crew chief was mad at you when you got back?
I brought back overg'd airplanes. So in the F-16 that Wade flies, the computer will keep you from overg'ing it most of the time.
Yep.
In the F-15, the pilot listens to tones and you can overg it. So yeah, I had a big, massive overg one time, and we had to take parts of the airplane apart and look inside and do an inspection of it. And I had to help the crew chief do that, and it involved cases of beverages to try to say I'm sorry for the extra work that went with it.
You guys want to do one last match?
Sure.
And we can let you guys have the rest of your Saturday. LT, any plans of joining the Thunderbirds?
It's not something I've thought about seriously, but I saw them here at the Andrews Air Force Show recently, and they were really, really awesome. I think it would be really cool to do the technical flying that they do on a day-to-day basis and executing that. And, you know, they get to be the face of the Air Force, which is cool. But for now, I'm just really happy trying to get as good as I can in F-16 and doing the tactical thing.
What's the process for getting into that? Like, what do you got to do?
Dad probably knows that better than me, but you have to be way more experienced than I am now. So kind of like mid-career at least.
You have to be an experienced fighter pilot, which means you got to have at least 500 hours, and I think that there's an additional hour requirement beyond that. And then you have to want to, so you have to apply, and you go out on the road with the Thunderbirds and see what it's like to be with them in their shows. They see what they think of you in that environment, and you see if you want to do that. There's an interview process, so they can narrow it down. And then there's a long training program of about half a year to get the show ready to go out on the road.
We got another question from a user on there. Have either of you ever escorted a civilian aircraft in distress?
I've done that simulated, so never a real aircraft, but I'm in the Washington, D.C. Air National Guard, so part of our mission is the Capitol Defense Mission. So we scramble if there's a aircraft in D.C. airspace who's not supposed to be there, or it could be someone who's in distress and they need help, and they need to get turned away from D.C. So it's something that I've trained to, and we'll fly with Civil Air Patrol who's simulating that, but it's not something I've had to do in real life before. What about you, Dad?
I don't think I ever have. I've rejoined on, I trained to do counter-drug work for a while one time, where we kind of trained to go intercept civilian airplanes. But no, I haven't had to escort one in trouble. Aaron Wade got me to end the game.
So,
turn on the towel.
how similar is Ace Combat to the real thing? I think we talked a little bit about it, but now that we're at the end of Playtime.
In some ways it's similar. The general concepts of course, of flight, and I've got the expert control on where you turn in, you roll, and then you pull back on the stick to turn, and then you have yaw as well. Speed management, energy management, like gun work, missile employment, things like that are similar in concept, but in the real airplane you have a lot of other things going on. Obviously you're actually in the airplane, you're breathing from your oxygen mask, you have G-forces, you have a lot more complex weapon systems, and it's definitely way more challenging than this, but some of the concepts are similar, is what I'd say.
And you're doing more. You're working your radar where it works the radar for you here, at least in the mode that we're playing. And you're working your radar, moving it around to see everything around you. You're keeping sight of your partner, because the main difference here is that you never fight by yourself. In a fighter airplane, you're always part of a team, at least 2, often 4 or more. And so there's a whole lot of teamwork involved. And Wade's a young wingman in a squadron, so his job is to provide that teamwork to somebody who's kind of making decisions and thinking for the formation. But as the weapons get better and as the airplanes get better, then it's a lot more of an even partnership. The 2 guys are working together through all of it. I think that's the main difference. You can get a good feel for what it looks like. You can get a feel for some of the ideas here, but it's a little different because it's really mostly about teamwork and the things that you do when you're out there flying together. Wade's going to pull up beside me here. I think we're going to see if
I
we
tried
can.
to. I think I'm going to overshoot this.
See if we can do some formation. I'm going 600. There he comes. You can't see his screen, but I'm looking over to the side and watching him join up with me. There, Wade, we're both flying F-16s now.
Yep.
And there we are together, and that's really a whole lot of what you'll see.
Yep.
Is flying formation with your partner, that mass firepower of 2 guys together, or 4 guys, or gals, or 8, and the teamwork between the different kinds of airplanes and everybody that works together, a part of the team. That's really the best part of it.
We're going to go out the border here.
Hop in here.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, all right. So we're at the end of the stream. Any questions that we didn't answer, we'll do our best to go through and field them as best we can, and maybe we can convince him to come back later. And
I'll try to practice some and know what the buttons do.
or we can play something else. Like I told you, we could play Pong.
Yeah.
It's all right. All video games are good. But before we go, anything you'd like to say to all our viewers? Do we know how many people are watching right now?
Right now, 339.
339 people.
It's up at like 550, something like that.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thanks for tuning in. We enjoyed having a chance to talk to you a little bit. As the Air Force, we're trying to reach out to people that, could find a home in the Air Force and go to the places where they are. So we wanted to come see you here, and we're glad that you tuned in with us, and we hope that you'll consider finding a way to serve your country in some way. And if that interest takes you to the Air Force, then, I think it's airforce.com. There's certainly a recruiting place that you can go to on the web and learn more about it. And thanks for spending some of your Saturday with us, Wade.
No, thanks for tuning in, and happy to answer you guys' questions. And everybody have a great Saturday. Thanks.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you both for coming in, and thanks to the Bateman Library here on Langley and 633rd FSS for helping us get everything together. And we have another Twitch stream coming up on the 2nd at about 1600, so 4 p.m. We're going to talk about safety before the 4th of July if you guys want to come back. I don't think we're going to hit the same numbers, though.
Hey, and listen, thanks to you guys. Thanks for the ideas that went into getting us up on Twitch. Thanks for working through the engineering of making the whole thing work. And thanks, too, for spending your Saturday with us so that we could talk to 500-plus people
Living
out
the
there
dream.
on Twitch. Thanks.
It was awesome. All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Thanks, sir.
Bye-bye.